Summer's heart pounded as she slammed the restroom door behind her, the fluorescent lights buzzing like angry bees overhead. She had felt eyes on her all evening at the bustling Seattle Mall, but now, hearing footsteps echo in the tiled space, she whirled around to face the intruder. A tall woman in a security uniform, her badge glinting under the harsh glow. "Why the hell are you following me?" Summer demanded, her voice cracking with a mix of fear and fury, only for the guard, Sydney, to step closer, her dark eyes wide with something that looked suspiciously like concern, not threat. Sydney hesitated, her hands raised in surrender, the uniform hugging her frame in a way that made her look both authoritative and vulnerable. I saw you earlier looking upset. You were on your phone arguing with someone and then you headed here alone. I just wanted to make sure you were okay." But as the words tumbled out, Sydney's cheeks flushed, and Summer caught the flicker of something deeper, a gaze that lingered too long on her lips, stirring an unwelcome heat in her chest that she quickly shoved down. Summer leaned against the sink, her mind racing. Okay. Who was this stranger to care about her being okay? Her day had been a nightmare. Another fight with her mother over dinner plans that always circled back to finding a nice boy and settling down. At 26, Summer was exhausted from the pretense, from smiling through blind dates arranged by well-meaning but suffocating family friends. She stared at Sydney, noting the way the woman's short hair framed her sharp jawline, the subtle strength in her posture. "You don't know me," Summer muttered, but inside a voice whispered, "Maybe that's why it feels safe." Why did this random act of kindness unsettle her more than the isolation she'd grown used to? As they stood there, the restroom empty save for the drip of a faulty faucet, Sydney lowered her hands. "Look, I'm Sydney. I work here every weekend. I've seen people in bad spots before, breakdowns worse. You looked like you were carrying the world." Her tone was steady, but her eyes betrayed a nervousness, as if she were debating whether to say more. Summer's phone buzzed in her pocket. Probably her sister checking in. Another layer of the family web that tangled her every move. She ignored it, drawn instead to this unexpected confrontation. What if she just talked? For once, to someone who wasn't judging her life choices. They ended up sitting on the edge of the sink counter, an awkward perch that felt oddly intimate. Sydney shared bits of her shift stories. Drunk shoppers, lost kids. Her voice a low rumble that eased the knot in Summer's stomach. In turn, Summer vented about her conservative parents. Immigrants from a small town who clung to traditions like lifelines, expecting her to marry, have kids, uphold the family name. "They don't get it," she said, her voice thick. "I'm not. I don't want that." The words hung heavy, unspoken truths bubbling beneath. Sydney nodded, her knee brushing Summer's accidentally, sending a jolt through her. Was this flirting? No, couldn't be. Summer had buried those thoughts years ago, after a high school crush that ended in whispered rumors and her parents' disappointed stares. But as minutes stretched, Sydney's concern shifted, her questions probing deeper. "What do you want then?" she asked softly, and Summer froze, the mirror reflecting her flushed face. "I want to breathe," she thought, without the weight of expectations crushing me. The door swung open then, a group of giggling teens bursting in, shattering the moment. Summer hopped down, mumbling thanks, but Sydney slipped her a card with her number. "In case you need to talk. Or anything." Summer pocketed it, heart hammering, as she fled back into the mall's chaos. That night, alone in her apartment overlooking Puget Sound, she stared at the card, fingers tracing the embossed name. Why did this feel like a door cracking open, one she wasn't sure she could close? The next week dragged, filled with family dinners where her mother's hints about eligible bachelors grated like sandpaper. Summer's job as a graphic designer offered escape. Pixels and palettes where she controlled the narrative. But even there, her mind wandered to Sydney. Was it the kindness or something more? She texted finally, a simple thanks for checking on me. And Sydney's reply came swift. "Anytime. Coffee sometime." Summer's thumb hovered over delete, but she hit send instead. Sure. Guilt gnawed at her. Her family would freak if they knew she was meeting a woman like this, assumptions flying. But wasn't she allowed friends? Their first coffee at a cozy spot near the mall turned into hours. Sydney, 28, shared her story. Ex-military, discharged after an injury, now security to pay bills while studying psychology online. "I see a lot in people," she said, sipping her latte. Like you, hiding pain behind that smile. Summer laughed it off, but inside it stung true. She confessed more than planned, her failed relationships with men that felt hollow, the pressure to conform. Sydney listened, her hand occasionally brushing Summer's across the table. Electric touches that made Summer pull back, confused. Am I reading this wrong? She wondered, heart racing. Or is this what I've been missing? As they parted, Sydney's hug lingered, warm and reassuring. Summer drove home, mind a whirlwind. Her sister called midway. Mom's planning another setup. You in? No, Summer thought fiercely but said, maybe. The lie tasted bitter. That night, dreams tangled with Sydney's face, stirring feelings she'd long suppressed. Was this attraction? The thought terrified her. Her parents' voices echoed in her head, decrying unnatural choices, their church community's judgmental eyes. But ignoring it felt like suffocating. She texted Sydney goodnight, a small rebellion that sparked hope and dread in equal measure. Weeks blurred into a rhythm of meetings, lunches, walks in the park. Sydney opened up about her own struggles. Coming out in the military, the backlash, losing friends. It cost me everything, she admitted one rainy afternoon. Rain pattering on the cafe window. But I couldn't live a lie. Her words pierced Summer, who envied that courage. Inside, conflict raged. What if I lose my family? They were her anchor, flawed but familiar. Yet with Sydney she felt seen, alive. Their conversations deepened, laced with unspoken tension. One evening, as they watched the sunset from a bench, Sydney's hand found hers, fingers interlacing. Summer didn't pull away, her pulse thundering. This is wrong, her upbringing screamed. But is it? Another voice countered. The turning point came at a family barbecue. Her cousin teased about her single status, and Summer snapped, storming off. Alone in her car, she called Sydney, voice breaking. I can't do this anymore. Sydney met her at a quiet bar, holding her as tears flowed. You don't have to hide, Sydney whispered. In that moment, Summer leaned in, their lips brushing in a tentative kiss that ignited everything she'd denied. Panic surged. What have I done? But the warmth lingered, a promise of truth amid the chaos. The kiss haunted Summer for days, a secret fire burning in her chest. She avoided Sydney's texts at first, drowning in self-doubt. Her apartment felt smaller, walls closing in with memories of family photos, smiling parents, siblings who expected her to follow the script. We're proud of you, her dad had said last Christmas, but only if she stayed on their path. Coming out? It would shatter them. Yet ignoring Sydney felt like betrayal, too, of herself. Finally, she replied. We need to talk. They met at Sydney's place, a modest apartment in Tacoma, books on psychology stacked everywhere. Sydney looked wary, her usual confidence cracked. If that kiss was a mistake, she started, but Summer cut her off. It wasn't. It scared me because it felt right. Relief flooded Sydney's face, and they talked through the night. Fears, dreams, the pull between them. Sydney confessed she'd been drawn to Summer from that first mall sighting, her protective instinct masking deeper feelings. I followed you because I cared, more than I should have as a stranger. Their relationship bloomed in stolen moments, careful to avoid prying eyes. Dates in out-of-the-way spots, hands held under tables. Summer's inner turmoil intensified. Joy with Sydney clashed against guilt toward her family. At work, she designed logos with absent-minded strokes, mind replaying Sydney's laughter, her touch. But nights brought doubts. What if this destroys everything? Her mother's calls grew insistent. When are you bringing someone home? The pressure built, a storm brewing. Sydney faced her own battles. Her ex, a fellow veteran, had left scars, emotional manipulation that made trust hard. I don't want to push you, she told Summer one evening, as they cooked pasta together. But hiding us. It hurts. Summer nodded, torn. She wanted to shout their love from rooftops, but fear held her back. Society's stares at same-sex couples, whispers in stores, she'd seen it, felt the judgment. And her family? Devout, traditional. They'd see it as sin, a failure. A confrontation loomed when Summer's sister, Emily, dropped by unannounced. You've been distant, Emily said, eyeing Summer's phone buzzing with Sydney's name. Summer lied. Just a friend. But Emily pressed, sensing more. Mom's worried. She thinks you're depressed. The word stung. Depressed? No, alive for the first time. After Emily left, Summer cried in Sydney's arms, confessing the lie. I hate this, she whispered. Sydney held her tight. We can face it together. But doubt crept in. Was Sydney worth the risk? The first crack appeared at a work event. Summer invited Sydney as a plus one. But when colleagues assumed they were just friends, Summer didn't correct them. Sydney's hurt was palpable later. Am I your secret? The argument escalated, voices raised in Sydney's living room. I'm trying, Summer shouted. My family would disown me. Sydney softened, but the wound lingered. Inside, Summer wrestled. Love shouldn't cost this much. Or does it always? They reconciled with apologies, but tension simmered. Sydney pushed for more openness, meeting friends perhaps. Summer agreed hesitantly, introducing her to a co-worker over drinks. It went well, laughter flowing, but afterward Summer panicked. What if word got back? Her mind spiraled. Images of her parents' disappointed faces, church friends shunning her. I'm not ready, she told Sydney, who nodded but looked away, pain etched in her eyes. Family pressure mounted. Her father called about a church retreat. It'll be good for you, clear your head. Summer declined, citing work, but guilt ate at her. She confided in Sydney, who urged honesty. They love you. Give them a chance. But Summer knew better. Past conversations about those people in the news, her parents' disdain clear. The conflict tore at her. Loyalty to blood versus her heart. One weekend they escaped to the Olympic Peninsula, hiking trails where privacy reigned. Amid evergreens, Sydney proposed going public slowly. Start with your sister. Summer froze, the idea terrifying. But Sydney's earnest plea swayed her. I love you, Summer. I want all of you. The words melted her resistance, and they kissed under the canopy, a moment of pure bliss. Yet on the drive back, doubt returned. What price would this love exact? The decision weighed heavy as Thanksgiving approached. Her family expected her home in Spokane, the table laden with traditions. Sydney invited her to her own gathering, small, accepting friends. Summer agonized. Choose family, deny love. Choose Sydney, risk alienation. In bed that night, Sydney asleep beside her, Summer's thoughts churned. I've hidden too long. But the fear of loss paralyzed her. She chose family, telling Sydney it was just for the holiday. Sydney's disappointment cut deep. When will it be us? The fight was quiet but brutal, tears on both sides. I need time, Summer pleaded. Sydney nodded, but her eyes said otherwise. Driving to Spokane, Summer felt hollow, the road blurring with regret. At dinner, her mother's matchmaking jokes grated, and when asked about dating, she forced a smile. Inside she screamed, I'm in love with a woman. The evening unraveled when Emily pulled her aside. Who's Sydney? Your phone lit up with her texts. Summer stammered, but Emily's knowing look pierced her. Is she more than a friend? The question hung, Summer's heart in her throat. Denial rose automatically, but something snapped. Yes, she whispered. Emily's shock mirrored her own fear. You can't tell Mom and Dad. But Emily's response chilled her. This family won't accept that. Think about what you're doing. Returning to Seattle, Summer found Sydney distant, the rift widening. I told my sister, she said, hoping for praise. But Sydney sighed. And, did you stand by it? Summer's silence answered. The argument flared again. Accusations of cowardice, defenses of caution. I'm losing you to fear, Sydney said, voice breaking. Summer left in tears, the door slamming like a finality. Alone, she reflected. Was this love worth the wreckage? Her job suffered, designs lackluster as turmoil consumed her. Friends noticed her withdrawal, but she couldn't explain. The societal weight pressed, news of anti-LGBT bills, stories of rejection. Why fight when surrender was easier? Yet Sydney's absence ached, a void no family approval could fill. She texted apologies, but responses were curt. Desperation grew. Had she thrown it all away? The silence from Sydney stretched into weeks, a gaping wound in Summer's daily life. She threw herself into work, pixels blurring as memories intruded. Sydney's smile, her steady hand. Family calls came frequently now, her mother's intuition sensing unrest. Come home more, she urged. Summer obliged once, the drive to Spokane a penance. There amid familiar comforts doubt festered. Was Emily right? Would coming out destroy this? Emily cornered her in the kitchen. Have you ended it with her? Summer's evasion sparked anger. You're playing with fire. Mom and Dad would have heart attacks. The words fueled Summer's inner storm. Love as destruction? But denying Sydney felt like self-erasure. Driving back, she stopped at a rest area, sobbing into the steering wheel. I have to choose, she realized. But which betrayal hurt less? Reaching out to Sydney, she begged for a meeting. They convened at the same coffee shop. Air thick with unresolved pain. Sydney looked weary, shadows under her eyes. I can't be your hidden chapter, she said flatly. Summer reached for her hand. I'm trying to figure this out. But Sydney pulled away. Figure it out without me. The words landed like blows, and Summer pleaded, tears flowing. I love you. Don't give up. Sydney softened slightly. Then prove it. Tell your family. The ultimatum hung heavy as Summer left, mind reeling. Prove it. How? When fear gripped her throat. At home she paced weighing options. Society's lens magnified her turmoil. Friends' casual acceptance contrasted with family dogma. Online forums offered stories of rejection, others of reconciliation. Which would be hers? She started small, confiding in a trusted co-worker, who hugged her supportively. Emboldened, she planned to tell Emily fully, but a family crisis intervened. Her father fell ill, a minor heart scare, but it amplified her guilt. Rushing to the hospital, she saw her parents' fragility, their reliance on family unity. We need you strong, her mother said, clasping her hand. Strong meant conforming, Summer knew. Sydney texted during the vigil. How's your dad? The concern touched her, but resentment brewed. Why push when life was chaotic? They met post-discharge, tension palpable. This is why I hesitate, Summer argued. They need me as I am. Sydney countered. As you pretend to be. The clash escalated, voices echoing in the park. You're asking me to choose. Summer yelled. Sydney's eyes filled. I am, because half of you isn't enough. The breakup loomed, but neither pulled the trigger. Instead, a fragile truce. Time apart to reflect. Summer used it to delve inward, journaling thoughts that had simmered for years. Why did love scare her so? Childhood memories surfaced, her parents' stern talks on morality. Church sermons decrying deviation. Internalized shame, she realized, a cage she'd built herself. Meanwhile, Sydney grappled with her past. Friends advised moving on. She's not ready. But memories of their connection held her back. A late-night call came. Summer, voice raw. I miss you. They talked for hours, bridging the gap tentatively. Yet the core issue remained disclosure. Pressure peaked at a cousin's wedding. Family gathered, toasts to tradition ringing hollow for Summer. When pressed about her prospects, she deflected. But inside, rebellion stirred. Sydney attended a separate event, texting encouragement. Be true. That night, alone in her hotel, Summer decided. Tomorrow she'd tell them. But fate twisted. Emily overheard a phone call with Sydney, affectionate words spilling out. Confrontation ensued in the hallway. This ends now, or I tell Mom and Dad. Summer's defiance surged. No. It's my life. Emily's betrayal stung. She stormed off, threatening exposure. Panic gripped Summer as she drove home. Emily would follow through. The family powder keg ignited. She called Sydney hysterical. It's happening. Sydney rushed over, holding her through the night. We'll face it together. Comfort mixed with terror. What had she unleashed? The call came the next day. Her mother, voice trembling. Emily told us. Is it true? Summer's heart stopped. Yes, she admitted, words tumbling. Explanations followed. Love, happiness, pleas for understanding. Silence stretched, then her mother's sobs. How could you? Her father's gruff voice. This isn't you. Come home, we'll fix it. The rejection cut deep, a chasm opening. Summer hung up, collapsing into Sydney's arms. They want to fix me. Sydney's anger flared. They're wrong. But doubt crept in for Summer. Had she broken them irreparably? Weeks of radio silence from family amplified the isolation. Friends rallied, but the loss ached. Sydney's support was steadfast, yet strains showed. Her own fears of abandonment resurfacing. "Are you regretting us?" she asked one night. Summer shook her head. "No. But it hurts." A glimmer came via Emily's text. "I overreacted. Talk." They met, tensions high. Emily admitted fear drove her. "I don't want to lose you." Tears flowed as Summer explained her truth. Emily listened, hugging her tightly. "I'll try to understand." Hope flickered, perhaps a bridge. But parents remained distant, calls unanswered. Summer's inner debate raged. Push for acceptance or let go. Society's progress clashed with personal pain. Pride parades versus family shunning. Reconciliation attempts faltered. A letter to her parents poured out her soul, but response was curt. "We need time." Time, Summer thought bitterly, while I bleed. With Sydney, love deepened amid adversity, but costs mounted. Sydney's job suffered from stress, arguments flaring over next steps. "We can't hide forever," Sydney pressed. Summer snapped. "I'm not hiding, I'm surviving." The breaking point neared, decisions looming like storm clouds. Months passed in a haze of tentative healing and lingering wounds. Summer threw herself into therapy, unpacking layers of internalized bias. Sessions revealed how societal norms had warped her self-view, making love feel like transgression. "You're worthy," the therapist affirmed. Words Summer clung to like lifelines. With Sydney they navigated rough patches. Nights of reassurance, days of doubt. Family contact trickled. Emily as intermediary sharing updates. "Mom asks about you," she'd say, but no direct outreach. The absence gnawed, holidays approaching like trials. Thanksgiving loomed, last year's choice haunting her. Sydney suggested hosting their own. Friends found family. Summer agreed, a step toward reclaiming joy. The gathering was warm, laughter echoing in their shared apartment. Summer had moved in, a quiet commitment. But as toasts rose, her phone rang. "Dad." Heart pounding, she answered. "We miss you," he said gruffly. Tears welled. "I miss you too." Conversation was stilted, no mention of Sydney, but it was something. Hope stirred, fragile as new growth. Yet betrayal lurked. Emily confessed over coffee. "I told them to force your hand. I thought it'd make you stop." Shock rippled through Summer. "You what?" Emily's remorse was genuine. "I was scared for you, for us." The revelation shattered trust, Summer storming out. How deep did family loyalty go when it meant control? She confronted Sydney with the news, rage boiling. "They manipulated me." Sydney held her, but her own frustrations surfaced. "This is why we need boundaries." Argument ensued. Summer defending family ties, Sydney advocating distance. "They're toxic," Sydney insisted. Summer recoiled. "They're my blood." The clash exposed fissures, Sydney's past abandonments making her wary, Summer's longing for approval blinding her. Reconciliation with Emily came slowly, apologies exchanged. But the seed of doubt grew. Could family ever accept her fully? Society's progress felt distant in personal battles. Workplace allies contrasted with community whispers. A major test arrived. Sydney's graduation from her psych program. Proud, Summer attended, beaming as Sydney walked the stage. Post-ceremony, Sydney introduced her as "my partner." No backlash, only congratulations. The normalcy intoxicated Summer, a taste of freedom. That night, they celebrated intimately, whispers of future plans, marriage, kids, stirring dreams. But reality crashed when her mother called unexpectedly. "We saw photos online, from the graduation." Summer's stomach dropped. "Emily tagged you." The tone was accusatory. "You're living with her?" Defenses rose. "Yes, and I love her." Her mother's sigh. "This breaks our hearts." The call ended in stalemate, Summer shattered. Sydney's comfort turned to resolve. "We build our life." But Summer questioned. At what cost? Inner monologue tormented her. Am I selfish for choosing happiness? Or brave? Tensions peaked during a visit to Sydney's friends, a queer community event. Surrounded by acceptance, Summer felt envious, then guilty. Why couldn't her family be like this? An argument brewed later. Sydney pushing for no contact if needed. They hurt you. Summer resisted. Abandoning them makes me like them. The standoff culminated in a heated night. Choose, Sydney said, echoing her earlier ultimatum. Summer's anger flared. I already chose you. But words twisted. Not fully. Sydney packed a bag, staying with a friend. Alone, Summer faced the void. Love's price stark. Reflection brought clarity. She'd paid dearly. Family estrangement, self-doubt. But gains shone. Authenticity, passion. She texted Sydney. Come home. We'll figure it out. Reunion was tearful. Promises renewed. Yet family shadows lingered. A breakthrough came via her father's letter. We're trying to understand. Church counseling helps. Skepticism warred with hope. Summer replied cautiously, boundaries set. As Christmas neared, invitations clashed. Family or Sydney's circle. She chose a compromise, spend time with both. Family dinner was tense, Sydney absent, but acknowledged in conversation. Tell us about her. Her mother ventured hesitantly. Summer shared carefully, walls cracking. No full acceptance, but a start. With Sydney, they debriefed, strengthening their bond. But costs accumulated, emotional exhaustion, strained relations. Society's role amplified. Media stories of similar struggles validated her, yet highlighted ongoing fights. A final twist. Emily announced her engagement to a man, family jubilant. Envy stung Summer. Why her happiness celebrated, mine questioned? Confrontation followed. Is my love less valid? Emily's defense. It's different. The maw of inequality gaped. Summer's resolve hardened. She'd fight for equality in her world. With Sydney, they joined support groups, advocating quietly. Growth came, but scars remained. The journey's toll weighed. Lost innocence, gained wisdom. Was it worth it? As winter deepened in Seattle, Summer and Sydney settled into a rhythm forged from fire. Stronger, yet marked by caution. Therapy continued, unraveling knots of trauma. Summer's designs flourished, infused with newfound authenticity. Sydney started a counseling practice, helping others navigate identity crises. Their home became a sanctuary, walls echoing with laughter and love. Family progress inched forward. Monthly calls with parents shifted from awkward to earnest. Questions about Sydney, tentative interest. She sounds kind, her mother admitted once. Summer's heart swelled, but wariness lingered. Full acceptance? Time would tell. Emily's wedding planning brought mixed emotions. Invitation extended to Sydney, a olive branch. Bring her, Emily said. Summer accepted, a milestone. At the wedding, tensions simmered. Relatives whispered, stares followed their held hands. Sydney squeezed reassuringly. We're here. During toasts, Summer's uncle made a pointed remark about traditional values. Anger flared, but she responded calmly. Love is love. Murmurs rippled, but her parents nodded subtly, support however small. Post-event exhaustion hit. Was that progress? Summer asked Sydney in the car. Yes, she replied. But inside, Summer pondered the trade-offs. Moments of joy amid ongoing battles. Society's evolution felt slow. Laws protecting, but hearts lagging. A betrayal surfaced unexpectedly. Sydney confessed a lapse. During their separation, she'd confided in an ex, emotions stirring old flames. Nothing happened, she swore. But I was lonely. Trust fractured, Summer's world tilting. How could you? The argument raged, echoes of past hurts. Sydney's tears. I was scared you'd never commit. Summer stormed out, mind screaming. Is this the price? Constant doubt? Reconciliation demanded work. Couples therapy, raw honesty. Summer confronted her role. Her hesitations had pushed Sydney away. Forgiveness came slowly, bonds reforged tougher. But the scar reminded. Love's fragility. As spring bloomed, they planned a trip, escaped to reflect. Hiking in the Cascades, Sydney proposed on a overlook. Marry me through all this. Tears flowed as Summer said yes, ring slipping on with promise. Joy mingled with realism. Family reaction? Society's gaze? Announcement rippled waves. Friends cheered. Family hesitated. Her mother's call. We're happy if you are. But her father's silence spoke volumes. Emily bridged. Give them time. Summer wondered. Would time heal or widen divides? The wedding planning amplified conflicts. Venue choices sparked debates, traditional or modern. Guest list. Who to invite amid judgments. Sydney's patience waned. This is our day. Summer's inner turmoil. Balance love with legacy? A climactic confrontation arose at a family dinner. Invited finally, Sydney faced scrutiny. Questions veered invasive. How did this happen? Sydney's poise held. We fell in love. But when her uncle challenged morality, Summer exploded. Enough. This is who I am. Storming out with Sydney, she cut ties temporarily. They don't deserve us, Sydney said. But loss ached. Reflection and solitude. Had she chosen correctly? Awakening to her truth brought fulfillment. Yet severed roots. Society's pressures, media portrayals of queer lives as struggle, mirrored her path. But triumphs existed. Community support, personal growth. Reconnection came via apology, her parents visiting unexpectedly. Tears, hugs, admissions. We were wrong to judge. Not perfect, but a turning point. Sydney welcomed them warily, bridges mending. The wedding was intimate. Vows echoing commitment amid trials. Through betrayals and awakenings, they pledged. Guests included family, a testament to change. Yet, as they honeymooned, questions lingered. Summer's journal entry. Love demanded sacrifices. Family harmony, personal peace. Was the cost justified? In the end, their story wove a tapestry of pain and redemption, choices fraught with consequence. But one query remained, sparking endless debate. Was sacrificing family ties for personal truth a noble awakening, or a selfish betrayal?